Bishop, can you pray for us?
I can't,
I wasn't going to call him Bishop, but
I'll take all the prayers I can get.
okay. All set?
Oh,
Okay. We'll start with the pledge. If you'd join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee this evening as a planning commission. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to meet and to serve our community. We pray that as we meet tonight that we will be able to accomplish those things on our agenda, be able to make the decisions necessary to for the betterment of our community, and as we try to do our civil duty to help have a wonderful place for us and the citizens here to live. We're grateful for the many blessings we enjoy, and we humbly pray for these things and do so in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay. Thanks everybody for being here. I got to bring my mic down, I guess. Let me get my computer to turn back on. Consent agenda items. The only thing on the consent agenda tonight is last week's minutes. So I will entertain a motion if you have reviewed the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes as they're written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Okay. The next item, number 2, is consideration of a variance request from the required 30-foot corner lot setback for a new shed on a property located at 375 North Clegg Canyon Drive. The applicants are David and April Orgill. And this is an item that came before the commission. We tabled it last time because there wasn't, we wanted a little bit more information and a little bit more people here to put eyes on this. Sean, is this an item that you have, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll just go.
Great.
Maybe. No? Okay.
That works.
All right, so the applicant owns a corner lot in the Clegg Canyon subdivision. The lot includes a 60-foot wide storm drain easement that's part of their backyard. The home was recently completed, and the property owner is doing improvements to the backyard and finishing the yard improvements. And the city, one of the city officials, one of our public works crews, had noticed that a shed was being built and was concerned that it was being built over top of the stormwater easement and over the infrastructure that's buried there on site. And so we contacted the applicant, determined that it wasn't directly on top of the stormwater infrastructure, but it was located within the corner setback of the property. So this is an aerial. The top of the screen is 400 North. You can see the house in the backyard. The area in yellow is where the storm chambers are installed underground, and the shed location between the road and those storm chambers. This is a picture of the framing of the shed that's being built, about 8 to 9 feet from the property line. And then this image, this site plan, the red line that you see there is the 30-foot required setback, and then the location of the shed. For variances, state law identifies specific requirements that are that need to be reviewed when you're looking at variance requests. One is that the literal enforcement of the ordinance would cause an unreasonable hardship, and the hardship can't be self-imposed or economic. There's got to be some special circumstance that doesn't apply generally to other properties, and the granting of the variance is essential to the enjoyment of a substantial property right enjoyed by others. It can impact the general plan, and issuing the variance would be in the spirit of the land use ordinance, or the land use ordinance would be observed. And so that's what you want to look at is there some special circumstance and unreasonable hardship in this lot? The primary thing that does make this different than most parcels All corner lots have two 30-foot setbacks, but this one is unique that it has such a large storm drain easement in the back of it as well. So that's what you want to think about is that substantial enough of a difference from this lot to others to allow for the shed to encroach into that setback.
Thank you, Sean. And just by way of information, Jake and I were here last time, so the discussion was had back and forth. Staff gave their recommendations, but the only thing, can you go back another slide, Sean? Two more, right there. No, next one back, where it says something about having unusual circumstance.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Special circumstances. So the staff recommended denial. I felt like that there was probably some merit to that bullet point, that there are special circumstances in that there is a large storm collection system rather than an open basin like in a typical subdivision. This developer chose to do it underground, and which makes it so that Mr. Orgill can't use that area. So anyway, I've been up and seen the property. I went and looked at it. I don't know if you have as well. The shed is right there on the road, and they do have an open picket fence look. So that just kind of fills you in on some of the conversations we had last time.
Okay.
So
You probably ought to have the applicant speak since
Yes.
a couple of you weren't here before.
Okay.
So.
do you want to step up and talk?
Hi.
Hello.
I wrote down some thoughts this time, so I'm a little more organized. Thank you all for your time. First of all, I love this city. I love the small town, big heart slogan that we have here. I found that absolutely to be true here. We're pretty new to the area. We moved from Eagle Mountain. And when planning out our yard, we thought we had gone through all the proper channels necessary. We got approval from our HOA, which has been pretty strict, and they care a lot about the beauty of the development and the city, as well as us. I had already poured the cement and started building when we found out we were in violation. You know, we thought, oh, we don't need a permit because it's under 200 square feet. So we thought we were okay there. I didn't have any intention of breaking the rules. You know, the one of all the reasons to approve a variance, that one that does apply to us is the special circumstances. I don't think there's a lot of lots that have the underground retention ponds in Mapleton. Usually it's just one per house, you know, not a whole development. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty specific to us, and just with the layout of with our limitations on where we can put the shed, that's just kind of what worked best for us, and with still being able to have garden areas above the, you know, the retention pond and everything. I don't believe that if you approve my variance that there's going to be a large influx of lots with underground retention ponds getting sheds approved. Like I don't think that situation's that's going to be a problem. It will severely negatively affect our family. I'm already so far into the building of it, and it'll just there's so few other places on the lot where we can put this shed. So we're just hoping that you can. And I've talked to all my neighbors. My neighbors are all okay with it, and are chomping at the bit to find out what the city has said. But I think it'll be like, and it's quite hidden. I don't know if he's driven up there, but if you've seen it, like there's trees hanging over, like it's pretty hidden until you're all actually right up against it. So we're just asking, please let us keep it there. So
Great, thank you. Any questions?
No. What's the current, is it built or is it framed or?
that picture, I stopped building. It's just that
Framed,
the
and
frame.
it's a
Okay.
small enough structure that it doesn't require a municipal building permit.
Yeah,
So he went through the proper channels in his HOA, but, so I.
yeah.
anyway,
Is it on a slab?
Yeah.
It's on a
Slabs poured?
slab support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we flog the HOA chairman or? No, I'm just kidding.
Mike Nemelka, I don't know.
Hey, I don't care what your last name, I'm just kidding. Okay, Yeah, that's all I had, thanks.
Yeah, I don't have any questions for you at this point. And maybe a question for you, Sean. So the 30-foot setback is, just to make sure I'm clear on that, that's unique to the corner lots.
Yeah, most homes have a front setback that's 30 feet. Some zones, it's a little bit different. But if you're on a corner, the corner's treated the same as a front. So you have two 30-foot setbacks instead of one.
And this is not something that I guess could be solved tonight, but I'm just wondering why that setback is so large compared to other lots.
Yeah.
That's the thing I have. Yeah, but I mean, I guess it for other structures is what I'm thinking, not necessarily for
Yeah.
the main structure.
Maybe just a piggyback question. Tell me about the spirit of the 30-foot setback request. Is it for visibility if I'm a car and I'm wanting to turn, and so that I can have kind of line of sight of any oncoming traffic?
There's other provisions that address line of sight. Usually that's more fencing related.
Okay.
It's really just to have an open yard. It's kind of the open space, landscaped, inviting areas as part of each home.
So it's not necessarily like a health and safety concern of having things back 30 feet?
Right.
Okay. How big is the underground retention tank? Is it, I mean, for the whole neighborhood, that's got to be pretty
It's
sizable.
for the whole development, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that-
some of the drainage is in the road where there's a swell there,
Yeah.
but the swells weren't sufficient to handle all of it, and so, yeah, it's a
That
large.
one photo shows that orange block, right?
And we knew about it when we bought it. I mean, but we were even told that we could build structures on top of it, so we got some bad information there, but we did build it over
Your
on
site
it.
plan does show the sports court on top of it though, right?
Yeah, there will be a sport court on top of
That
it.
meets the storm drain.
Yeah, it's just if the city has to get in there.
If they
you
have
know.
to tear into it,
Or-
I have to be willing to tear it out, yeah.
It's not a public hearing item, is it?
No.
No.
No. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, staff usually takes a pretty strict look at these, but as you're looking at it at a commission, you certainly have the discretion to determine whether, usually the biggest concern that we have is just that we don't want anyone to just say, we can build it and ask for forgiveness and get approval. This one, there is enough unique circumstances that I think gives you some leeway that you wouldn't have in most other circumstances.
Yeah. The one that comes to mind, you might remember this, you remember Julie Erickson's, she wanted to put that golf simulator in, and her contractor built it, and she came for a variance, we had to deny her. I think that's a different circumstance than this, all things considered, just because there's a lot more. This one's pigeonholed.
Yeah.
But you guys know how I feel about precedents, so I always,
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's the
I-
hard part.
yeah.
The precedence of allowing a shed, last time I was inclined to vote in line with staff. And this time last time I made the comment that the only bullet point that really caused me to question was that special circumstance.
Yeah.
And with that drainage basin in his backyard, that is a special circumstance. And so I could go either way.
Well, and I think the idea of the standards are not, you should meet all 6 of them, right? Like any individual, it's not and, it's or, right? Any of those are good reasons?
Technically
or
should be and.
All of them?
It is, but the main issue is there a special circumstance that creates limitations on this lot that doesn't exist in other scenarios?
So the worry of precedence being set would be, okay, this variance would have been approved because they have a major retention basin that they can't build anything on, any structure on. And that's a special circumstance for this particular lot. So any other shed building that came before the planning commission, we can say, yeah,
Yeah.
Pretty
That was
unique
a special-
circumstance,
specific
yeah, that's what we were
circumstance.
hoping for.
so.
And our tank goes all the way even to where it's gonna be underneath the sport court on the other side of the yard, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you can swap the sport court.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there's like some manholes over there and stuff. There's a whole bunch of things over there on, kind of near where the shed is. 2 different grates and manholes and stuff taking up the yard, yeah.
What is the process, separate question, what is the process for HOA? The city's just says, hey, HOA, make sure that you enforce whatever our standards are.
Yeah, I mean, most CCNRs have some provision that they don't supersede city standards.
Yeah.
But when we review permit applications, we don't review CCNRs. That's
Yeah.
the responsibility of the HOA and the homeowner to go
And
through that
considering this didn't require a building permit, it wasn't on your radar.
process. Right.
Yeah. I think there's an exception.
Okay, I'm willing to hear a motion.
Well, I also don't want to railroad if you two have any other thoughts.
No, I mean, I think my only other thoughts are, I mean, along with what's already been said, there's definitely a special circumstance here in my mind. Yeah. So I think that's an easy way to discuss this in the future if it came up as an example of, you know, a variance that was allowed.
Yeah. And it's a shed. It's not like it's a ADU or a garage or something. It's,
De minimis.
yeah.
So does that shed partially sit on the chamber as well?
It's just off.
No,
It's just off?
barely off of it, yeah.
Okay, so if there was a problem,
It's
more
not
than
gonna be
likely the
affected.
shed would be okay.
Yeah.
My position's still the same as last week, so, last 2 weeks ago. So,
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion to approve the variance request to allow the shed within the 8-foot setback.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any
I'll
opposed?
be a nay on that one, Sean.
Okay, the motion carries.
What, does this go to council or are we the deciding?
This is it.
Yeah, okay.
You can go get your kids to work tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it, you
David.
guys.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for being
David.
here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item number 4 is consideration of amendments to Mapleton City Code Title 17 and 18.90.13 regarding.
Skipped one, sorry.
Oh, did I? Number 3, okay, number 3. Here we are. Consideration of a request to rezone 5 properties located approximately 100 North Main Street from A2 to RA2 to ensure that each parcel complies with the minimum lot size standards. David?
Oh, sorry. So there's 5 parcels. They're all along North Main Street. Right now, they're all A2, and all of them vary in size between 0.59 and 0.77, so none of them are actually 2 acres. It's just because right now they're legal non-conforming lots because the zoning changed. And so I didn't mention it in the thing, but in the middle 2 lots, you can see them right here. They're planning on developing, so they just proposed to have it be rezoned. And so Sean thought it would be better if we just did all of them at the same time. And just skipping ahead real quick, for the general plan, they're all zoned yellow, which is medium density. And if you go back, they're all currently zoned as A2. And so just so that they all can become conforming lots, we're proposing to have them all rezoned the same zoning at the same time, just so it'd be easier. So, because it's anticipated that this lot here, someone's gonna buy that one in the future also, and they're gonna most likely wanna rezone it as well. So we got permission from all the neighbors, and they said that they're okay with it. So we're proposing to have all of these zoned to RA2, which is in the yellow, and you can see that it matches across the street as well.
They're all the same property owner?
No.
They're all 5 different ones, yeah.
They've all agreed to it?
Yeah, so what, as he mentioned, one of the properties is up for sale, and it's not a legal conforming lot. And so they applied for a rezone, and we said, well, let's do all these, so we're not doing this piecemeal, and just make sure they're all consistent with what the standard should be based on the general plan for those lots.
So only one of the properties is requesting the rezone, but.
We contacted the other property owners and said, hey,
Got it.
this is our proposal, are you okay with us moving forward with it?
Got it.
Yeah, and they all are fine with it, because if they want to sell their house in the future, having it be a conforming lot would be better for them. And so Sean spoke with them on the phone, and everyone is okay with that. So city council has broad discretion to approve or deny. The rezone to RA2 matches the medium density residential, which is the general plan here. And you can see in yellow. And so it's consistent with the general plan, so our recommendation is approval.
And it's just a rezone, it's not a TDR?
No.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't affect the commercial one on the corner?
Commercial stays the same.
It is commercial even though it's in RA2?
So the yellow, you see the little pink piece here, that stays in the commercial.
Did we rezone, did Andy rezone?
No, it was already zoned that. Yep, so that'll stay, so it conforms, but the others will go.
Okay, Mapleton City is applicant, and this is a public hearing item. And so I will open it to public hearing. Does anybody have anything to say about this? When you come up, please state your name for the record.
I'm Doug Howell. I live at 199 North Main. So all the property's not on Main Street, like you said.
The ones, this maple one.
That one's on Maple. And why is the Murray residence commercial? Can I ask that?
Which one?
The corner.
The one that Andy and Debbie are.
Yeah, that was zoned commercial years ago as part of the zoning they did around City Hall as a central commercial district and the corner. So that's been in place for, I don't know, I'd have to look, but probably 15 years or more.
Why isn't the minor residence residential
Which one you talking?
next to the fire station?
Yeah, same thing, that was zoned as part of the,
I know, but if
The-
it's the same size lots, why isn't it all the same zone?
because that one may be different at some point in the future. You know, whether the city looks to acquire it or they decide to sell it and want to use it as commercial, that would be a different scenario than these situations where your lots are just not conforming.
Can I get a name of who's petitioned to rezone?
Sure. Sure, it's the property owner that was here, and I believe we spoke, right?
Yeah.
You and I spoke on the phone. So is there a specific concern you have?
Well, I just, I don't want it zoned that because I don't want neighbors,
Oh,
for
gotcha,
one thing.
yeah.
But I was just curious how come some of it's this zone and we're just kind of,
Yeah, the corner's obviously potential commercial piece, and this was zoned into it because of the whole corner with City Hall and Central Bank and,
well, how did Bringhurst build a home without it being an RA?
which one's Bringhurst? I'm not sure which,
The first one on Main Street?
you're talking here?
No, the next one up,
This
right
one?
there,
Yeah, I don't know, how long's the house been there?
20 years,
Yeah.
but it was zoned that before.
Yeah, this would have been considered a legal non-conforming lot. These ones were not, because this one was originally, I think, one piece. And they deeded these two pieces off, so they need to, this one was not considered a legal non-conforming lot. That's part of the reason for the request to rezone it.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
Are they going to be sold as single lots, or are they being combined? Because we were under the impression two of those lots were going to be one.
So these have separate owners.
Okay,
So yeah, this is the one that's for sale right now.
and the other one isn't?
Correct.
Okay. This is interesting. I've lived at my house, I'm at 227 North Main for 45 years, and it's been commercial, residential, by whatever the city decided to do. So we always feel threatened, like, what are we doing? Do we have a say? If we do, it's such a small one, then it city kind of does what it wants. Obviously, I live next door to the fire station, which is interesting. You want to live by a fire station? When we all moved there, it was a dead-end street. So when they opened it up, it was like a shock, because it's the thoroughfare now. I'm going to petition to have our mailboxes on our side of the road, because you can't get across the road. It's really scary. So our growth is unbelievable, but we were under the impression that that was going to be sold all as one, as a big, rumor has it, apartments, and we're like, excuse me?
Yeah, no, there's no multifamily that would be available. This is just to make everyone here consistent with what is on the street.
Okay, well, that makes sense to see it that way. But
Yeah.
that isn't what the picture we got looked like, so, okay.
Yep.
Did it?
All right.
No. So, yeah, it took a minute for us all to figure it out. It's like, what is that? What's that? No, and it should be. Okay,
Yeah.
I feel better that it's individual lots. So, but it has changed beyond in 45 years, so, okay.
Thanks.
Are there 5 different property owners?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are, okay.
Yeah, so, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comment, and with that, I'll close public comment. Do we have questions for staff or any discussion items?
That one's probably the one to look at.
Is that extra line in the second one from the south of non-conforming flag lot? Or is it just 2 parcels that they?
No,
actually
this
have
one
to-
really, they'll need to combine that. I'm not sure why it's separated in the deed, but it's just one same parcel owner.
At one time, it was a one owner, and the dad died.
Gave it to each one. Gotcha.
They each got one, and their grandkids got it.
On and on, yeah.
We call it the Murray House, the one on the corner, the zone commercial,
Mhm.
which they're adding on to right now.
Correct.
How do you do that when it's zone commercial?
Because it's a commercial business that's going in there. Yeah, have you heard of Real Deals? They had a shop in Spanish Fork on
Like a
Main Street,
a boutique type
little
thing.
boutique shop.
Yeah, 'cause that's a big hole.
Yeah, they're keeping the historic house, which is nice,
It's way cool, yeah.
and then they'll do an addition on it.
That they're doing that.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do with the dirt?
Don't know.
Big,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it looks like good dirt.
I know. Anybody who's built a house.
Yeah.
It's a lot rockier on my side.
Yep.
I did not realize that. I was just hoping someone was gonna make it an even cooler house.
Yeah.
Sean, do you want to shed a light on what RA2 is, just so that we can
Yeah,
understand?
so RA2 is medium-density residential, so it's a minimum lot size of 1/3 of an acre, but you also need 100 feet of frontage.
Yeah.
So even though these parcels are bigger than 1/3 of an acre, they wouldn't have enough frontage to do more than what you see that's there.
Yeah.
And really, the main intent too is if any of these homeowners go to sell their property, the real estate agent contacts the city and asks what zone are they in. And when we tell them it's a 2-acre zone, you have to explain, well, it's a legal, non-conforming lot. It complicates the sale, and some potential buyers may not understand that. And so now what happens is when it's zoned, it's just, these lots are conforming and are legal, and
Yeah.
takes away that uncertainty from a potential buyer.
So it's not like the density is going to drastically change from what it already exists? Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion we're ready for that?
Yep.
I make a motion that we recommend approval to the city council to rezone 5 properties located at approximately 100 North Main Street from A2 to RA2 to ensure that each parcel complies with minimum lot size standards.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sean, separate question. The house just below the blue, the fire station, so that's a residential house, right?
Yeah.
That's your house, right?
Oh, that is your house, okay.
Yeah, it's currently in that commercial zone, which gives it the flexibility if somebody chooses to in the future
Yeah.
to use that as a commercial. Yeah, I mean, that's the existing zoning.
That's the existing zone, yeah. Okay. Item 4.
Okay, item 4, I jumped the gun a little bit before. Okay, so consideration of amendments to Mapleton City Code Title 17 regarding subdivision requirements. Sean.
Thank you, members of the commission. So Title 17 is the city subdivision ordinance. SB 174 was passed earlier this year that requires certain modifications to city standards. Each year, as the state kind of wrestles with affordable housing, there's proposals from various sides of what can improve processes and reduce costs. And so the SB 174 was really proposed in large part to try to require cities to be more streamlined in their review process. The argument is that timing means money and increases cost to developers the longer it, the longer the process takes. So that's kind of some of the background of SB 174. So the modifications that we're proposing in large part are to address that, but also just to make some general cleanups. We have engineering has reviewed their standards and updated some of the proposals in the ordinance. The biggest revision is that the final decision-making body for 2-lot subdivisions or less would just be staff. So if you're just doing 2 lots, it could just be approved by staff. Anything above that would be approved by the Planning Commission. There's no more city council review for subdivision plats. That was part of SB 174. The argument was you'd go to a hearing with the Planning Commission and then have to be wait another month to go to the city council. And then some cities were doing preliminary and final that way. So you'd go to preliminary, final, come back to preliminary, back to final. So this is intended to kind of streamline that process. So Planning Commission on subdivisions that don't include rezones would be the final decision makers in the future.
Say that again, that last part, that don't require rezones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if an applicant's requesting a rezone, it would have to still go to the city council.
Okay.
But once the zoning's in place, it could be just you. So we've updated our ordinance to meet those standards and outlines the review requirements for cities. We've updated some engineering standards and just ensured that the ordinance references the long-range plans as far as water and sewer and transportation and things like that. And then we've also updated our water dedication requirements. The state now requires you to look at it in a 5-year increment to say what does the data say of how much water is being used per household, and that's what your standard's supposed to be based on. So that's why we're updating our water dedication requirements. That's the primary reasons for the proposals. If you have any specific questions on any of the ordinance requirements, we can.
Ultimately, what does that do to our water dedication? Will it wind up requiring less water dedication?
It does, yeah. So right now, the requirement's 0.45 acre feet per lot for indoor, and now it'll go to 0.35, so it's a little bit of a reduction.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a little slow. I think everybody knows that. What are we taking off city council's plate again?
Basically subdivisions.
Subdivisions that don't require a rezone.
Yeah, and even, I probably misstated that. So if an application requires a rezone, it'll still go to city council.
Okay.
But the plat application would come back just to planning commission.
Okay.
So the rezone does do both, though, planning and,
Yeah.
But it also, if there's a 2-lot subdivision, It
It's
doesn't have to,
staff.
it doesn't have to come before
Yeah.
us.
We still notice it to the neighbors that there's a subdivision happening, so if there's issues, they can raise those. But for the ones that are essentially, rubber stamped, it wouldn't require your review.
And the theory is that this is going to expedite housing and reduce costs.
You can talk to the Home Builders Association about,
We have a good lobbyist.
Questions?
I'm sure they do.
The water one, is that mandated by the state?
yeah, so the state says you have to look at your
You have to look at it.
usage data. You can't just have a arbitrary or a number that's based on other cities' averages. The .45 used to be the standard that the state set, and that's why we adopted it at .45, because it was defendable, because the state had been the one that said this is the requirement. Now they're saying you need to actually look at 5 years' worth of data, see what the average households are using, and then use your standards based on that.
And that's what you and staff have done?
Yeah, so that's why it's being reduced slightly to
I would
.35.
have thought we used more, not less.
For indoor, it was, you get, obviously you get spikes and you get some that are way low, but on average is the .35 is where we came in.
That has nothing to do with culinary water use for sprinkler systems.
No, so outdoor, we still require, it's 2.5 acre feet per irrigable acre for outdoor. That stayed the same.
So that's staying the same.
Mhm.
It's amazing when you go, just as a home builder, going through the legislative session and seeing how bills go, and generally, home builders don't have that much power, but there's certain lobbyists and powerful people on the Hill that push these things, so, anyway.
Yeah, don't let a good crisis go to waste, right? That's kind of what some of this appears to be, right?
That's exactly how I feel about it. Anyway, this is a public hearing item, so let's get that out of the way. Anybody want to say anything? Seeing none, I will close public hearing.
Thank you.
And then I will entertain a motion.
I just have a thought. I don't know why, but I think it's good for city council to be aware of subdivisions going in within the city. Even if it's just like one more administrative thing, I just think that there's a necessity for the city council to keep their finger on the pulse of what's going in, especially considering they're elected officials and we're just appointed.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like we're just trying to like pass the responsibility to them. I think that there's value with, if there's a neighborhood or a development, even if it's an easy slam dunk, that they're aware of it just by virtue of that's what they've been appointed. They're the council for the city. So that's just my initial. Now, I don't think that I have one decision one way or another, but I just feel like it's still important for council to be tapped into what's going on within the community.
Yeah, I think most councils feel that way. It's, the state has now said it's not your decision. It's no longer can the city council be the
Yeah.
approval body for the,
And that's a
So-
requirement from the state, so we don't have a say in that.
Yes, we don't have
You
a-
you have to do that anyways, that's the
correct.
city.
I think what it's gonna do, our city council now is pretty good. A lot of them watch these videos, or they'll go back and watch them. They're pretty engaged in seeing what's coming before them. What it's gonna do, though, is require us to make sure that if we are seeing issues at the planning commission level with subdivisions, even if you have to approve them based on the standards, that the planning commission's gonna need to say, hey, we recommend that the council relook at this ordinance or this policy to make sure that it's having the intended consequences.
So that they're building the framework that we're executing on.
Yeah, and that's really the kind of the vision is council stays big picture, policy, legislative, planning commission's administrative. You're implementing the policies that are adopted.
All right, I can see that. Okay, I got that off my chest. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendments to city council.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Is that
Okay,
it? That's it.
thanks, man.
Thank you.
Quick question for you,
Yeah.
Sean. It doesn't have to be on YouTube or nothing, but with that shed, can he then build 6 more sheds all the way down the fence line?
No, it's specific to
Specific
that.
to that one single one?